Today we're talking about how to do a multicam sequence. This is gonna save you a ton of time of editing on projects where this kind of technique works. This works great for music videos, for live events, anything where there are multiple cameras rolling. It's gonna clean up your sequence and it's gonna make your post-production go so much quicker. So how do we do it? Well, if you'll join me here on my screen. So we filmed a music video recently for the Gratitude Media Workshop. So first thing we need to do is create a new sequence. My folder structure here is I'm gonna have my finals, which is my exports, the final projects, my footage, which is where I'm just using a handful of the shots today. We're not gonna use all of them. Music, which is the track for the video, and now my project folder in which I'm going to put our project. So here we go. So importing media, we're gonna go to our desktop, Gravity, footage, and here are our shots. So I will import them. I'm gonna move a few things around here. So if you're working on a laptop, kind of controlling your workspace here is a very important part of having any kind of decent workflow. So I like to have a big timeline on the bottom, little projects window, and if you press the tilde key, you can always expand a window if you need a little bit of extra size, things to look at. Same thing with your timeline. You can just hit the tilde key on the very top left and get a better look at that. So now our footage here, we've got 5 shots. So I know for a fact that this shot here, and if we go to our properties, this was 1920 by 1080 and our frame rate is correct. So I'm gonna use this and make a new sequence from this clip because I know the dimensions are correct, the frame rate is correct. This is what I wanna base all my other footage off of. And I'll pull that outside of the footage bin because I don't want it to get lost somewhere in all the footage here. So I will call this edit 1. Ta-da! So I'm actually gonna start with our tightest shot first. So Cody is kind of the main vocalist on this one. And this is Guy Meets Girl, by the way, Cody and Alyssa Hochstetter. My brother and sister-in-law. They're great, links over here, check them out. Second angle's tight on Alyssa. We're just gonna organize it that way. Then we're gonna go tight on guitar. I'm going kind of tight to wide is what I'm doing. We have a middle stabilized shot, mid shot, and then a wide gliding shot that's actually out of the room, kind of looking into the room. And then the last thing we need, of course, is the actual track for the song. So now, once all these things are in here, I'm going to highlight all of them. I'm going to right click and I'm gonna hit synchronize. So now, if all goes well, Adobe is going to look at all the audio tracks here and try and make them all line up. So I hit OK, it moves them, and this one I happen to know is incorrect. That's not right. So here's what we do have though. We've got a waveform. So I'm gonna take this, I'm gonna move this all the way back so we can see right where the track begins on the waveform of all these. It looks like these all did synchronize correctly. So it looks like that's our first note. I'm just gonna drag this over here. Using Command and then the left and right keys, I can nudge it just one frame at a time. I think that's probably our closest bet here. And then what I'm gonna do is actually take the, using the C hotkey, I'm gonna be able to cut all of these, delete everything before that, and now it begins here. Hit the tilde key to minimize. So now what we should have here is we have now 5 different angles. And as I'll kind of go through them, if we hide the top track, next track, next track, next track. And now these are all synchronized. If I were to not use a multicam sequence, what I would need to do is mute all these tracks and then make sure only the one track's coming through. So now if I were not using multicam, let's say I wanted to start on my wide shot, I'd have to play it. And then if I wanted to cut to the tight shot of the guitar, I'd have to chop, chop, slide this over. Once that's done, and then to go to the tight shot of Cody, I'd have to then take this and move this over, and then cut this out, and now I can see him. And now back to the guitar, maybe. But now the problem is, if I want to put a wide shot over here, I have to drag it all the way across, and then cut it, and then pull it back over here, maybe go to the mid shot. As you can see, this is a mess. This is not the best way to do this project. If we ever want to change our minds, we gotta chop and move, and if for some reason I move something and then it gets out of sync, then I have to go back and resynchronize things. It's all a big old mess. So it's just not efficient too. Every time we get to a new cut, we want to change our angle. It's hard to chop and move and push and keep everything organized. We have a better way to do this. So now we have all 5 shots. So now what we do here is simple. We're gonna keep all these audio tracks live just for now. I want to highlight everything in my sequence. I'm going to right click and I'm going to hit nest. Now, for me, I like to think of this, and I'm going to call this multicam nest. So it now makes a new sequence, which is the nest. So I like to think of it as you have all these different things, and then you have a little bird's nest, and you put them all inside one new thing, and they are now safely nested inside of this new sequence. So now if I double click on this as it is, it takes me into the nest, which is a different sequence in my project bin. So now, I don't want to let that confuse you. Right now, basically, if we go back to our main edit window, we have one single camera angle. So once we have it nested, we no longer need our camera audio tracks. Those are all useless to us now. And if anything ever gets out of sync, we can always go back into the nest and then make sure that things are synchronized. If we decide that our wide glide is actually one frame behind the music, then we can nudge it and actually resynchronize it. And then once we do that, it will be reflected in the nest. But now in the nest, we can only see our top clip, right? Whatever's on the top of our nested sequence is the only clip that we're actually able to see in here. We need to fix that to be able to jump between camera angles. So now back to our main edit window, I'm gonna right click our nest and I'm gonna hit multi-camera, enable. Boom, our shot has already changed. What did it change to? If we go back to our multi-camera nest, it has now changed to the first shot. So now, Tight Cody, which is our video track 1, is now the video clip that's reflected out here. That's only when the multi-camera feature is active on that nest. So now we have camera 1 here, we can go up to our source window here, our source preview monitor, click our little wrench, go to multi-camera, and now we can see 5 different clips. Now, when we go back into our nest, that's all 5 of our video tracks are now considered to be different camera angles within this one multi-camera sequence. That's amazing. So now what's cool is, as I play this video, I'm able to look up here and I'm able to see all of them happening at the same time. Now, if I decide to click on video track 1, it switches to video track 1. Click on track 3, switches to track 3. Now, there's a fast and a slow way to do this. I will teach you the slow way, because if your computer is really lagging and struggling, this actually might be better for you. So we'll go to the beginning here, and let's say I want to start with video track 5. I want to begin on a wide angle. I want to kind of set the scene. So I can either double click on my multi-camera sequence and click on video 5 to change the shot, or I can simply press the 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 keys. And now if I just click on my sequence and press 5, it jumps to camera 5, which is amazing. So now I can play it. And let's say right here, I want to cut, double click to make sure I'm selecting the next clip in my now broken multi-camera sequence. And then let's say I want to switch to the guitar because I want to see the little riff that he's playing. So now, when I go back, it has changed camera angles, and look how pretty my timeline is. I don't have any garbled mess of all these chops and edited, pulled clips. I just see camera 1 and it switches to camera 2. And even on the sequence, it even says tight guitar MOV, multicam 3, MC3. So I could play it again. And let's say I want to cut here, double click, and then maybe I want to go to the tight shot. Maybe I want to cut here, double click, medium shot. So now, as you can already see, I'm switching from angle to angle to angle, and let's say right now I switch to that a little bit later than I wanted to. If I hold in the command key, I get the ripple edit tool, I can just drag this back, and now it changes my cut. Or if I want to cut there instead, ripple edit over. Isn't that incredible? And look how pretty my timeline is. There's only one video track. And now here's the beauty of it all too, is when you get to this point, you can also go to File, New, Adjustment Layer, drag this over the top, and if I wanted to, if all of my shots are lit more or less the same way, if they're all relatively similarly exposed, then what I could do is I can just add, some kind of color grading LUT of some kind, let's say 30% here, and then maybe I want to brighten my highlights, and maybe my shadows a little bit. Now, this one adjustment, I've just color graded my entire video by having this one adjustment layer with my color adjustment that applies to the entire thing. And already, you can see, it affects every single clip, and it only took 2 tracks on my sequence. That's incredible. So now, the fast way. Here we go. So I'm gonna lock down this adjustment layer because I like to see how my video is gonna look at the end. It just makes me feel better about what I'm working on. it feels like it's already pretty. So now here's what's nice too. Let's say I want to undo everything I've done so far in this video. I can highlight all the tracks, I can delete them, and then I can just drag this one back, and now we've got one brand new sequence that's ready to roll. So now I'll turn this back to composite video because I don't need to see all the different options over here. And now I'm just going to drag my program monitor window a little bit bigger. So now here's the coolest thing about this. I'll switch this back to camera 5. So I love this so much. All right, so in your source window, if you double click on your multi-camera sequence, click the wrench and hit multicam, you can see all your shots. However, if you play the video and press camera 2, it'll stop the video, changes the whole sequence, and it does not record your cut. So now the fastest way to get through an edit with this trick is now in the program window over here. So program monitor, I'm gonna go to the little wrench guy, I'm gonna hit multi-camera, and now over here in my source window, I've got all 5 camera angles that are available to me. But in my program window, I have all 5 of them and I have the final output. Important note here, if you do not have the track selected, it's not gonna work. If you only have video track 2 selected, it's not gonna show up as your multiple camera angles. But if you make sure you have V1 enabled, then you can see all your angles and you can see the composite output. So here's what we do now. We know we wanna start in our wide, so if we were here, we could just hit 5. We begin on the wide angle, and maybe we even wanna fade in. Look at that, that's nice. So now, as I'm playing the video, I can just click on a different shot, and as soon as I stop the video, every time I clicked on a new shot, it recorded the change. So every time I clicked on a new angle, it cut the sequence, changed the multi-camera sequence to a new camera, and then continued to record from there. Now, I can go through the entire video like this. So if I wanted to go through it from here, and I want to say play, click. Click to camera 5. Click to 1. Now you can see on the sequence, it's not updated yet, but as soon as I pause, it records every change that I made. So now I can play the whole thing back, and it remembers exactly what I did. So all I had to do is select 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 on my keyboard, and it makes live edits to my video. And now again, if I ever mess anything up, I can just go back here. Maybe I don't want the wide shot. Maybe I want to introduce, maybe I want to go back to the tight shot on Cody sooner. I can double click this, and then I can click camera 1. And then I can go over here, click it, and then maybe this time I want to press the 3 key to change it to the guitar. And now all I have to do is press 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and change my angles instead of having to go through this crazy dance of chopping and editing and disabling clips. That's nonsense. This is so much faster. So I just mentioned this too. Multi-camera sequences, Premiere's been known to get a little confused, crash here and there, but it's still, even if I have to force quit, reopen the project, upload another save, this still saves me hours on editing whenever it comes to something like a music video, a live event, or a multi-camera event of some kind. So you get the idea. We're able to color grade and then pick our shots all on one timeline. Everything is synchronized and nothing is gonna get out of whack. That saves us so much time. And now we can edit our audio however we want to, and then if we want to say, brighten one of these video clips, then we can just go to the one video clip and say maybe we want that a little bit brighter. Let's pull up our whites and our highlights. Now I only have to adjust this clip once, and then when I go back out, I have to make sure I, show these other video tracks again. Go back out to the edit. Whenever I cut to camera 3, my color grade is now reflected outside of the nest in the entire multi-camera sequence. This helps so much, especially if you're shooting on different kinds of cameras. You can tweak and blend the cameras together so that they roughly match, and you only have to do that once, and then outside of your multi-camera sequence, that change is reflected throughout the entire video. You don't have to copy and paste the adjustment onto every single clip on that video track. So let's do this one more time, just for kicks, right? So I'm gonna double click on this guy here. I'm gonna change my wrench over to multi-camera. So now that's very confusing. If I click on things over here, it's going to change this one clip, but I cannot make live edits. So to make live edits, I have to make sure that in the program window, I hit my wrench, I hit multi-camera, and now I can change clips as I'm going. Play the video, gonna hit the 3 key. 4, 1. 4, 3, 1, 5, 1. I just finished the first half of verse 1. That took me as long as it took to listen to the track. In 30 seconds, I've edited 30 seconds of video. How amazing is that? You can save so much time with this. And again, if you have some kind of event where there's like a wide, a mid, a tight, or somebody's moving around the crowd, you can set it up the exact same way. And as you're watching through the event, all you have to do is switch to camera 1, 2, or 3. In real time, you can be editing this stuff. This is gonna save you so much time, and it's gonna make your life so much easier. It's just a simple trick. It's a little bit of setup, but if you can manage that, you've got yourself hours back in your life because you're able to edit in a way that's almost more fun. You get to actually see it in real time, make your changes, and actually edit with your gut. You get to feel the edit as you're working on it. You don't have to try and go back, see how you like it, go back, see how you like it. You can just do it all in real time. So that's it. This is a simple little trick that if you can get good at, it's gonna save you hours in your workflow. It's gonna make editing more fun actually doing it this way. And it's gonna make you a better editor because now you're understanding how nests work, how multicams work, and how to save time in your workflow. If you'd like to see the finished video, as soon as we went through the performance section, we added B-roll as well. If you'd like to see that video by Guy Meets Girl, you can watch it right over here. Just click on that link and then you can watch it. Wouldn't that be cool? It's pretty good. If there's something else you'd like to learn, let me know. I'll do my best to make a video about it. But in the meantime, you can follow us on Facebook and Instagram, stay up to date on what we're doing, and see if we have any new videos soon. But for now, be great, stay grateful. Gratitude Media!